Africa, it's all about socio-economic development. You heard from my friend, the doctor. He's doing it. He's not waiting for the government. Let me tell you, he's helping Tate Mashilo, because this is Tate Mashilo's problem. Him and Aus Portia and the committee. But they can't do it only. I mean, it's only 50 million of us. And how many are you in Tate Mashilo in the committee?
There's 21 organizations.
21 organizations.
That represents an industry worth about 5.8 trillion.
Yes, sir.
So the property sector is 5.8 trillion. There's 21 organizations across the four sectors. It's residential, commercial, in terms of office, retail, and industrial.
That's correct.
And we include the public sector. I should say 5, because we include the public sector in
yes, sir.
So, I mean, if you think about it, the challenge that we have, and this is why it's good to have Ntate Ntshabeleng around, is that every time we have a conversation, and as you might know, Gavin, that I do sessions and I go all over. So I happened to be at a conference last week.
Yes, sir.
Where it was an uncomfortable conference.
Yeah.
In a sense that it's not uncomfortable because of the conversation we're having. It's uncomfortable because of the conversation that we don't want to have, which is why I'm saying it's good that Ntate Ntshabeleng is here.
Yeah.
Because our understanding of the sector as it's presented to us.
Yes.
If you remember the last time I was here, I said our introduction as black people into the property sector.
Yes, sir.
As an economic activity.
Yeah.
It's fairly young. It's less than 30 years old.
Yes.
If it's 30 years old, it's probably in the teen ages of 30 years, like the early 30 years. It's fairly young. So it means there's a lot that we still need to learn.
Yes, sir.
And so when we get into these conversations, we need to be able to say, what are we sponging from each other?
Yeah.
That's number one. Number 2 is also we need to be able to say, what does property do to us or do for us?
Mm-hmm.
And so through the property sector charter, through the social issues that we involve in, through your channel and everything else, is to say, there's 5.8 trillion.
Yes.
What does it mean to us? Now, there are very few people.
Yes, sir.
And worse, there are very few black people that understand what does that 5.8 trillion translate to.
Yes, sir.
Now, so there's 2 studies that we do every 2 years.
Yeah.
We update them every 2 years. We don't necessarily do the study every 2 years. We update them every 2 years. Is that one is we've got a size which is 5.8 trillion.
Yeah.
And then we also do another study that says what's the economic impact of that size.
Lovely.
In terms of what's the tax contribution, what's the economic activity that arises out of that.
Mm-hmm.
For you to do that economic impact, you have to then do what we call a life cycle analysis. It means property at origination.
Yes, sir.
During its life cycle, the management, and what we call end of life. End of life is end of cycle.
Yes.
And then remember, in those activities, then we have what we call facilitators. Facilitators are your brokers, your lawyers, your whatever, although they are not actively involved.
Mm-hmm.
So in understanding that 5.8 trillion, understanding the sector, is also understanding what is our piece of the pie. From our last conversation, which is why you end up saying I must come back, is to say,
yes.
In that value chain,
yes, sir.
Where is our piece of pie? Where do we play?
Yes. Who owns what? What is the percentage?
Who plays where?
Yes.
Because if you think about it, I suppose this happens for Ntate Ntshabeleng. After they bought the property, the thing about property, that's why we love property. It's not like selling tomatoes. So selling tomatoes, you do a salad, you consume them, they are gone.
Yes.
They are irreplaceable.
That's correct.
As a commodity.
Yes.
But property has downstream impact such that if I buy a property today, a commercial property, even if a residential property, a house, my home,
yes,
I need to figure out 2 things. I need to say, who's going to clean the house?
Yeah.
By asking that question immediately, I can either us as a family organize to clean it, or we can hire somebody to clean it.
You've created employment.
I've created employment of one.
And expense.
So if we understand that logic, that says property's got that impact, it means that if we have a residential development, so for the properties that they've bought,
yes,
I'm not going to assume their strategy is to say, if you go and look, even if they're doing the maintenance themselves, is that they've employed somebody now has an, although they might not be paying for it, but somebody has got an economic activity that they wake up to go and do.
That's right.
It's not a question of whether you're paying them or not.
Yes.
Because in that process of that economic activity, they might gain a skill. Which skill they might use it to be employed somewhere else.
Yes.
Yes. You know, so
that's true.
So that's the impact that we're talking about. To say,
and the value goes up as well.
Exactly, the value goes up, and that becomes very big when you're dealing with commercial property because it's exponential. It's cleaning, it's security, it's this, is that, is that.
That's correct.
So if we understand that as black people, if you understand that generally that property has got that effect, it would mean that we also understand the impact.
Yes.
So then we can choose a space to say, do I play in the services space? And what is services? Services means I don't own a property, but I'm able to become a service provider.
That's
either cleaning,
correct.
Security, whatever. I'm still in the property sector.
Yes.
Secondly, the property sector is still the only sector that has an impact across all sectors.
Yes, sir.
Now, I always find it funny, and sometimes we get to be political a little bit. I also find it funny that we go out to other countries to say we want to attract investment. We call all business people.
Yeah.
In very few instances, you find that in those teams that goes with the president, deputy president, finance minister, whoever goes out and recruit investment, there are very few instances where we invite property people.
Yes.
As if we assume that the factories are going to be built in the sky. Because
That's
if we
interesting.
attract Coca-Cola to come to South Africa, they're going to build a plant somewhere.
Yes.
That means they're going to need land.
Yes.
They're going to need yada. They're going to need all of those. And all of those are property because we don't build factories in the sky.
Yes.
So our understanding as well as a country of the impact of the role of property in driving the economy,
Yes, sir.
it's also very limited. And we're limiting ourselves.
And this is why you're here.
This is one of the reasons why we're here.
Yes. In fact, you know, you said something earlier, and it reminded of that day in Chumeleni, because he likes saying, "Give it to me about that coffee and sugar. Give it to me. You say it best." Say it on air. For
I
us.
don't take my coffee with sugar, nor do I put sugar in my words.
Yes. You don't like sugar coating.
Yeah.
I say this because Tate Mashilo, when he teaches, he does not like sugar coating, and sometimes he finds himself in an environment where he does not have to sugarcoat, and that can pinch other people's nerves.
Well,
Is that correct, sir?
That's correct. Because you see,
That's why I said the two of you are going to like each other.
I also don't take sugar. I've never taken sugar. Many people think I mean, obviously on radio people can see how I look,
The six-pack, yeah.
but they think the slimness come from me not taking sugar. I've never taken sugar. It's a DNA for my family. It runs in the family, but I've never taken sugar. For different reasons.
Yeah.
I had a health issue when I was young, so for different reasons. But the issue is, you live once. You need to make your impact in the life that you're being given.
Yes, sir.
You don't have a second chance.
Yes, sir.
The opportunity for me and you to engage
Yes.
exists now, and we need to use it the best that we can.
Wow.
Because we are not sure that tomorrow we'll have the same opportunity
Indeed.
to have that impact.
Yes, sir.
So as a result, whenever we are given an opportunity, we need to use it.
Sure.
And use it in such a way that it makes an impact. I like the conversation we're having online today. Can I share that?
Yes.
The conversation around, if you get to the top, send the lift back down.
Yes, sir.
It's an ideology,
Yes.
but it's a cultured
If
ideology.
you get to the top, not if you get down.
If you get to the top,
yes.
send the lift back down.
Yes.
And I said,
And send it for me. I want to be that lift.
so it is an ideology.
Yes,
and
sir.
it's a philosophy that if it's like when you make coffee.
Yes, sir.
And it says, I have to have hot water and the coffee, the mixture,
Yeah.
for it to be coffee. If I have hot water but I don't have the other mixture, it's not coffee. It's something else. It's hot. It's just hot water. If I put a tea bag, it's tea.
Yeah.
So there must be that mixture for you to end up with
A certain product
a certain product.
or a service.
So the same applies with that as a philosophy. If you, in your mixture, in your way of approach of things, you have that in your mind that says, if I get to the top, I must send the lift down.
Yes.
It means that along your journey, wherever you get to the top, automatically it becomes second nature to say, is to figure out how do I send the lift down,
Yes, sir.
whether it goes all the way down. It becomes part of your DNA. So what I like about
That in Shumele.
what is being said,
Yes, sir.
right, is that Chumeleng is saying, look, I've done what I need to do. And I've got to a point where I can define my enough. Whatever his enough is, he can define it.
That's true.
But now I need to send the lift down. I don't have to go and find something else for me to send the lift down. I can do it in the same environment in which I am.
Yes, sir.
Because that's an environment I understand and I'm more powerful at.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So he doesn't have to carry a camera along to go and find ladies who are selling tomatoes and say, I want to involve you.
Yes.
Because he's not going to make an impact purely because he might not even understand that environment.
Yes.
So it's just for Instagram.
Africa, are you listening? Over 100,000 listeners. The lift has been sent to you by Tate Mashilo. He says, I'm on the top. I'm still rising. I have not arrived. But at least I can see clearer. I'm just saying, can someone please take that lift? Come with me. Guys, I'm bringing knowledge. All you have to do, just let us consume this knowledge. By the way, he, got his scholarships when he was young, and the same isn't that day in Chimeleni. He also got his scholarships when he was young. So I'm having them here, and they're talking property. They didn't do property as the first course, but they're talking property. So whether you have the scholarships, bursaries or not, property is for everybody. It's a foundation. Let's just take a break and quickly let's